The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Gilbert, Arizona, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32190. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new vehicle. Let's start down at the front bumper. On the face of the front bumper, on the passenger and driver's side, you'll find dual air horns. Located just inside the frame rail, you'll find an electronic speaker and PA speaker. Moving up onto the top of the front of the vehicle, you'll find your headlights, high and low beam. The high beam is on the inside and the low beam is on the out. You'll find emergency warning lights and turn indicators on the next cluster up. Across your seamless one-piece windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers. And on the outer edges for your mirrors, you'll find a flat mirror on the bottom and a convex mirror on the top. Moving up onto the top of the vehicle, the brow, you'll find 5 running lights. And then moving all the way up to the top of the vehicle, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. And located in the center, you'll find your opticom. Let's take a close-up at some of those images that we just talked about. First, starting down at the very bottom, your bumper assembly and also headlight structure. You will also notice you have side-facing warning lights. The vehicle is equipped with a keyed entry system. Let's move across some of the items. At all points of entry, you have grab handles for ease and out of the apparatus. There's also a auto-eject Q-small plug for your shore power inlet. Moving to the far right, down in the lower corner, you'll find an emergency warning light at mid-location. This is your shoreline inlet. It is a 20 amp shoreline auto-eject plug. Moving up to the side of the body, you'll find 2 side-facing emergency lights, and located in the center, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. Let's move to the very first compartment on the driver's side. You'll find SCBA bottle storage locations. At the very bottom in the same compartment, you'll find a pull-out tray. The release mechanism is on the right. Moving to the next compartment, you'll find 2 black release mechanisms with a wire in between. The wire will allow you to release both of those at the same time, allowing it to pull out and drop down. The next shelf down is a shelf that will go either to the right or to the left side, and the release mechanism is on the right. Let's go ahead and move outside exterior of the vehicle. You'll find a water outlet and also a direct tank fill for that water outlet, and also bottle storage in this location. Let's move a few items. This is going to be in the rear section. This is just over the rear axle. You'll find in this compartment your light tower controls. You'll also find your generator controls and also your electrical controls. We'll go over those items also. There's also a code reel in the upper left-hand corner, and then also a fill location on the far right location. And we'll talk about those in the next set of images. This is a refill port. Because of the technical advance in this equipment, I will not be covering all of its specific items, although I will be pointing out items that are prevalent to operating of the vehicle. On the left-hand side, you'll find your light mask tower. You'll also find in this same vicinity, this is the control module for that. You'll also find one adjacent on the opposite side. You do have a breaker panel. This breaker panel is labeled G1, which stands for generated power number 1. The individual breakers are individually labeled. Let's move down to the left-hand side in this same compartment. This is the control module for that generator. There is a check transmission, which is an amber light. Once the generator is properly engaged, you will find the generator green PTO light engaged, and there's also an audible alarm
which is adjustable from left to right on the outer bezel. You will find a cord rewind and also a water tank indicator on the right-hand side. Moving to the right, you will find your generator exterior plug and also a cap. The silver cap is your diesel fuel ultra low sulfur fill location, and the blue cap is your 4.5 US gallon DEF fill location. Moving to the next compartment back, you'll find this compartment allows that tool board to move in and out, and the release mechanism is the black, and then to further that, the cable will also allow it to move out the opposite side. Underneath the back rear wheels is where you'll find your wheel chocks storage location. Let's go to the rear section of the apparatus. You'll find your brake, turn, reverse, and emergency light cluster lighting. You'll also find rear scene lights and also emergency warning lights above that. Let's move down to the rear section of the apparatus in the lower portion. You'll find a few warning labels here. First, you should not ride on the back of the apparatus. That's a warning label regarding that. And that also there's a fall hazard if you choose to ride on the back. Those are the warning labels for you. At the very top of your apparatus, you will find a backup camera. Over the top, you'll find your rear-facing awning, and to the far right, you'll find the release mechanism for manually returning it. In the lower left corner, you'll find a 20 amp exterior plug. On the right-hand side of the rear section, you'll find your rear floodlight control switch. As we move inside the compartment, once again, I won't be covering any of the technical information regarding the blower compressor, but I do have images here so that you can further gain information as we move along. In the left-hand corner, you'll find your service air. Moving to the right, you'll find your breathing air fill location. There is an emergency stop for the system itself, and also an air rewind switch in the upper right hand corner, and also an alarm fault audible speaker. Let's go ahead and take a look at the left-hand side of your apparatus in the rear. You'll find the air rewind, and you're also going to find your awning control for the rear, and also a remote just above that for your awning control. Let's move now to the passenger side of the vehicle in the very rear compartment. Similar layout in some of the other compartments with the shelving and LED lighting. This vehicle is equipped with 2 points of fill. There is a fill on the right-hand side and also on the left-hand side for your diesel fill. Once again, silver cap. As we move through over the rear wheel, you'll find your air compressor and all of its components. Although on the very far right-hand side of the compressor itself, you will find a latch which allows you to pull out a portion of this component. This is the same remote control for your light scan as the passenger side and driver side. Moving forward of the front wheel, you'll find your water outlet. Moving forward of that location, you will find a through compartment which allows you to have that shelf move in or out on both sides. Moving back into that compartment in the upper section is where you'll also find the shutoff for your water valve. As you track down the blue hose down, you'll find the drain location located on the right-hand side. As we move within this compartment at the very bottom right-hand side, just where the release mechanism is for the pull-out shelf, you'll find your cab tilt operation instructions, a protected switch on the left-hand side, and then the activate switch on the right-hand side. Please be cautious when you're raising your cab, as contents may have shifted while moving those within the intersections of your cab. As we move inside the cab, you'll find a grab handle in the red strap. This is for assisting firefighters in and out. You'll also find at the rear section of the engine an access point here for your daily checks for oil and transmission. And then you also have some additional warning labels in here. Moving to the buried back wall of the apparatus, you'll find this release mechanism allowing this entire bench seat to be dropped down for rehab. Just in front of that location at the rear section of the seat, you'll find a 12-volt bus panel, and then you'll also find a outlet here, 20 amp on the right-hand side and also on the left-hand side. This is the access for the oil and transmission daily checks. As we look forward in the cab, we'll cover some of the items here. Let's go ahead and move to the right-hand side of the vehicle to the passenger seat, where you'll find at points of entry these warning combination stickers, and then you'll also find your fill location for your windshield wiper for the front windshield. Underneath the passenger seat or officer seat, you will find a small glove box. And let's go ahead and move now across the center of the dash, and we'll identify some of the items there. As we look overhead, you'll find push on and off red and white lights. You'll also find future locations for additional electrical components. In the center, you'll find your Pierce seatbelt information display, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green indicating they're in the seat and belted. If they're in the back recuperation bench, it is not advised to move the apparatus if this light is on. Those are not seats designed for that. In the left-hand side, inside the driver's area, you'll find once again warning labels and additional seatbelt information. Seatbelts are red in color for easy visible and identification. And down in the lower right corner, you'll find the manufactured by Pierce Manufacturing. It is this yellow label that we'll talk about next. You'll find all of your information from your VIN number, gross vehicle weight ratings, date of manufacture, job number, and also your components and fluid capacities. Tremendous amount of information is here. If you have information about your apparatus when calling for service, it is the job number that they will need. Let's move down from this location. You'll find your auto charge when plugged into shore power. Your auto charge system will activate, and then you also have an air inlet which maintains air in your brake system. On the lower left corner, you'll find at the foot level an air horn switch next to your brake treadle. And then as we move about knee height, you'll find your master switch, which is for your battery. It's the silver switch, and to the right, you'll find your engine transmission ABS diagnostic port. You'll also find all your ABS and DPF regen information in this switch panel. Up onto the dash panel on the left-hand side, you'll find your ignition switch and start button. And to the right, you'll find your emergency master, headlights, parking lights, and also your panel dim or brighten switch. To the right of the steering column, you'll find your high idle and the OK indicator to engage the high idle. As we look at the dash on the left-hand side, you'll find your transmission oil, DEF level, and water temperature. To the right, you'll find your volts, fuel, front and rear air. Located in the center, you'll find your tachometer and speedometer. Additional diagnostic information is below and above the speedometer and tachometer. To the right, you'll find your pull to apply your system parking brake, push to release, and then you'll also find the module for your stereo system. And just beneath that stereo system, you'll find your Wayland PA system and electronic siren control. To the right of both of these on the dash, you'll find your windshield wiper control. This is a push to apply the windshield wiper fluid. Let's cover the next set of switches just beneath this area. First, with your engine brake on and off. You also have a settings switch for your engine brake for low, medium, and high. PTO for your generator, mirror heat, load manager, and also two locations here, one a 2.1 and one a 1.0 USB charger. This is once again your pull to apply your system parking brake, push to release, that's the yellow triangle, and to the right is your Allison transmission pad. Just slightly to the right, you'll find your main mirror control and your convex mirror control for the passenger and driver side. Located in the center, you'll find your climate control. And then just beneath that, you'll also find the push for that windshield wiper wash. Also located over the head of the driver's seat, you'll find your height 10 feet 0.75 inches, your length at 30 feet 4 inches, gross vehicle weight rating at 42,000 pounds. If you make any revisions to this equipment, please make sure you change this placard. Moving to the right-hand side, you'll find a bank of switches. First for your emergency master, roof light, front warning light, side warning light, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. If any of these lights are engaged or in the on position, the green indicator will illuminate in the switch. Moving to the right side, you'll find an additional set of switches. First, your high beam flash. You do have 2 future switch locations if you'd like to add switches. Driver side, passenger side scene lights, and then also your rear scene lights. Moving slightly to the right of that, you'll find your main unit radio, which is a Motorola. Congratulations, Gilbert, Arizona, on your new apparatus, job number 32190. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or any future questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.